Hey everybody, Sean Bukowski here. Hope you're all having a great week. Wrote a little bit of sometimes it's hard to come up with an idea for the blog, but I was reading some property real estate cases from other states. Not the whole thing, the summary. I'm not that big of a nerd. And saw one talking about what a landowner can do if he doesn't have access to a public road from his land. And that sounds kind of weird for if we're living in the middle of Dallas or something, but it's not that uncommon if you're in a more rural area. And so I thought about what would happen in Texas, and that's basically where easements come in. So I'm sure you probably know this, but easement is a right to real estate that kind of exists outside of the original title, in that it's a right for me to that I have over your land that you own. And kind of most common that you think of is a utility easement, where if I own land and I want to have electricity on there, then I give Austin Energy or whatever an easement over my land to put up electrical lines. So if you don't have access to your land for a public road, there's kind of like four different ways you can get that through an easement. There's an agreed easement, which is obviously the easiest. You just agree with the landowner. There's a prescriptive easement, an easement by estoppel, and then an easement by necessity. This blog's too short to talk about all of them. We'll eventually get to all of them, but today we're just going to talk about an easement by necessity because it's something that we've dealt with some clients in the past, and it was what this lawsuit was dealing with. So basically, what the premise is if your land is landlocked, if you don't have access to a public road, you can potentially get an easement by necessity over your neighbor's land. And the way you get that, you have to fulfill a three-prong test, which is that there was originally unity between your property and the landlocked property over what you're trying to see to get the easement. The claimed easement is necessity. That's the only way you can access your land is through that easement. And that necessity existed at the time the property was severed from the purported servient estate. So you have to fulfill that three-prong test to be able to get an easement by necessity. It's not always easy to fulfill that three-prong test, but if you can, then the court will grant you an easement over your neighbor's land to get to your property. Obviously, this a lot of times will not make your neighbor very happy. So if you have landlocked land, we can definitely help you, and potentially one of the ways is to get an easement by necessity, but it's often going to lead to litigation before the neighbor will agree. So if you can get an easement by agreement, that's obviously the best way, but you can always resort to an easement by necessity if you need to. Hope you like this. If you do, subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our blog. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.